The merchant was invited to stay at the house, so now he would sit at the dyer's shop all day and stay at his house at night. The dyer was very hospitable. He left no stone unturned in hosting the merchant and fulfilled every need of his guest. The merchant enjoyed being served for a few weeks and thanked the dyer greatly for his hospitality. The merchant said to the dyer, "If you also give me a chance to serve you, I will be very happy. How wonderful it would be if you and your wife and children would come to be my guests." The dyer said, "Why not? Whenever I get the chance, I will definitely come to meet my dear friend." The merchant bid farewell and left. After some time, the merchant came again to Isfahan, and once again had the dyer serve him extensively. Again, the rural merchant invited the dyer to come to his village before leaving. Khwaja, the dyer, hosted the merchant like this many times. And every time, the merchant invited him to visit his village. One day, the rural merchant said to the dyer, "Khwaja, my friend, how long will you keep deceiving me and putting me off every time? Why don't you become my guest?" The dyer said, "I do want to come, but leaving here is not easy. A man is like a paper boat. Whenever the wind blows, it drifts him to another shore." The rural merchant held the dyer's hand and said, "O kind one, take your wife and children and also enjoy a tour of my area. These days it is the season of spring. The fields are lush green. Your children will have a great time." The rural merchant made him promise 3 times, swearing oaths. "Brother, you must come. I'll wait for you." Saying this, the merchant left. A few days later, Khwaja the dyer's children said, "Dear father, we should also visit your friend's village. After all, he requests and invites you so earnestly." Khwaja the dyer said, "My children, I would certainly go too. But the elders say that a true favor is the one done without expecting a return. If I return favor for a favor, I would be disobeying my elders, and surely I will suffer for that." He continued, "Our elders also say, 'Beware of the harm caused by those you do favors for.'" But Khwaja the dyer's children insisted. So he agreed to the journey. Khwaja the dyer's family included a wife, a daughter, and a son. Both children were still young. The next day, Khwaja set out on the journey with his wife and children. The dyer's children were very excited that they get the chance to tour the village. Khwaja's family began a journey that lasted weeks. They burned under the sun all day and counted stars all night as they moved along their path. After weeks of travel, Khwaja finally reached the rural merchant's village with his family. But Khwaja's bad luck. When Khwaja came face to face with the rural merchant, he outright refused to recognize his benefactor. Khwaja the dyer was shocked. He said, "Brother, recognize me. I'm that very friend with whom you stayed for months." The rural merchant immediately pretended to be pious and absorbed in worship and said, "Brother, I don't recognize you. I am so immersed in prayer that I'm not even aware of myself. I don't even know what I ate during the day." Saying this, the rural merchant walked away from the village to avoid hosting Khwaja's family. Khwaja, asking people around, reached the rural merchant's house with his family like a distant relative. But the household shut their doors on them. Seeing this, Khwaja became mad with rage. But it was useless anger, because what had to happen had already happened. Yet, Khwaja still hoped that his friend would eventually recognize him. So Khwaja and his caravan stood at the rural merchant's door for 5 days. They shivered in the cold all night and burned in the sun all day. Khwaja had now run out of both food and money. It often happens that honorable people become victims of misers. This was Khwaja's situation as well. Whenever he saw his ungrateful friend, he would greet him from afar and try to remind him, "I am your friend Khwaja." But the rural merchant would only respond to the greeting from a distance and deny recognizing him, saying, "I don't know you. I am so absorbed in worship and fulfilling my duties that I have no awareness of even myself. In fact, I don't even know whether I am alive or dead," Khwaja said. "For me, this time is no less than the day of judgment, when brothers will run from brothers." He reminded him of the past kindness, saying, "I am the one on whose dining spread you ate so many blessings. You had soft beds to sleep on at night." But the rural merchant said, "What nonsense are you talking? I don't know you, nor do I know anything about your hospitality." By the will of God, a stormy rain began the next night. Khwaja's poor family started getting soaked in the rain. Seeing his wife and children in such a state, Khwaja began banging hard on the rural merchant's door. A servant opened the door and Khwaja said, "Call your master." After Khwaja cried and pleaded a lot, the cruel merchant came to the door. The merchant said, "What do you even want?" Khwaja replied, "I forgive all the rights of hospitality. Even what I thought I let go. Just look at the state of my children and me. These 5 days under sun and cold have felt like 5 years. Now, because of the harsh rain, I can't bear to see my wife and children suffer. I beg you, either kill us, I forgive you even my blood, or give us a corner of your house just for tonight, so we can be spared from this rain. God will reward you on the day of judgment. I promise, even if I have to beg in your village, I will gather what I can and leave by tomorrow." After saying this, Khwaja began weeping bitterly. The rural merchant was very stone-hearted. But when he thought he'd be rid of Khwaja by tomorrow, he said, "Fine. Our shepherd lives across there. He protects our sheep from wolves. Tonight, our shepherd is sick. We will give you a bow and arrow. If you can guard our sheep tonight, then that place is available to you. Otherwise, find somewhere else." Khwaja said, "Why not, sir? I can perform 100 such duties. Give me the bow and arrow. Tonight, I will guard your cattle and your grapes. And if even a shadow of a wolf appears, I will shoot it straight in the head." The rural merchant said, "Very well. But ask the shepherd which ones are our animals and where they are tied, because I am so lost in God's remembrance that I don't even know how many cattle I have or where they are." Khwaja took the bow and arrow and took his family to the corner of the orchard, where there was a small, broken-down dark hut. To some extent, it could shelter them from the rain. Khwaja, along with his wife and children, huddled inside. The space was so tight that there wasn't even room to move. The rainwater still seeped in, but still they all squeezed together like locusts. Khwaja kept saying to himself, "Oh God, whoever befriends a flatterer and treats an ungrateful person with decency surely deserves the punishment I am facing now." Khwaja kept guard with the bow and arrow in hand. Inside the dark hut, every mosquito and flea felt like a wolf, biting and wounding them again and again. Meanwhile, there was some movement in the bushes. Khwaja realized it was time to shoot. He prepared the bow and arrow to aim. As the rustling in the bushes grew, Khwaja aimed so precisely that the creature flipped over and fell on the spot. With a loud cry, it collapsed and died instantly. The rural merchant heard the animal scream, and immediately ran toward the orchard shouting, and came rushing to Khwaja. Hearing the merchants yelling, villagers also began to gather. The rural merchant shouted, "Oh people, this senseless man has killed my calf." Khwaja replied, "No, sir. It was a wolf hiding in ambush. I took the opportunity and finished it." The merchant said, "Absolutely not. The one lying dead in the bushes is definitely my calf. If you don't agree, you may investigate thoroughly. Nothing can be seen clearly in the dark. And because of the rain, tonight is even darker. It's possible you were mistaken. The rural merchant continued. There's no chance of that. Tonight may be dark for you, but I know my calf's voice very well. For me, this night is as bright as day. Hearing this, Khwaja boiled with anger. He grabbed the merchant by the collar and shouted, "O pretender of piety! You played a big trick on me. You acted as if you had consumed hash or opium, when you can recognize your calf's voice. In this dark, stormy night, and amidst the roar of rain, how could you not recognize me? You turned out to be truly cruel. You denied recognizing your friend of 10 years. You didn't even honor the duties of hospitality. You said you weren't even aware of yourself, that you had nothing in your heart but God, and that you didn't even remember what you ate yesterday. You used to boast of your piety and speak passionately about divine love. Now, God has exposed your true colors. Your calf's voice has disgraced you and revealed the truth behind your false humility. God humiliates fraud and deception in this very manner and captures the escaped prey just like this." When the villagers saw all this unfold, they all began cursing the rural merchant. They apologized to Khwaja in shame. The next day, the elders of the village decided that the rural merchant would be expelled from the village. Thus, they removed the merchant from the village and safely escorted Khwaja and his family back to Isfahan. Friends, how did you like this story? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments. And do subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for watching the video.